So thank you very much for joining us. So the press here are calling this muted results. What do you say?
Well, Chris, I think under the circumstances, I think for us, it's been a very good result. There's obviously been some once-off items, specifically the BE transaction charges and so on, that has impacted the results. I think if you take out the impact of the BE and the once-offs, you're looking at about a 7.4% growth. So, very strong growth in terms of underlying operating profit.
Shameel, with the elections just finished, would you be happy with Stella Ndabeni was reappointed as minister? And then secondly, are you expecting any more policy certainty, particularly from spectrum, to come through from government in the short term?
Yes, I think I think we've had we have good relations with the minister, and I think she's come in and really tried to put the focus in time to resolve the spectrum issue. There's been some delays in terms of the issue of the policy directive, which I think is crucial for ICASA to go with the next steps. But to be honest, not a big surprise. I think any big policy changes a couple of weeks from election, governments normally do hold back on. But it was a deadline that was created by themselves to say that it would be out by the end of April. So disappointing that it didn't come on, but I think shortly after the cabinet's installed, I expect that the policy directives will come out. My expectations is that spectrum will be allocated later this year, and I think crucial if we're going to have a meaningful part to play in 4IR, that both the 4G and 5G spectrum must be allocated as soon as possible.
Okay, Shameel, so us as a Pan-African broadcaster, we're pretty pleased with this story. Kenya's Safaricom, of which you've got a 35% stake, seems to be going like a train at the moment. What exactly is happening in the Kenyan market that's driving this?
I think really a big part of underpinning it is very strong growth in M-Pesa. M-Pesa up 90%, just over 10 billion rand of transaction fees now coming from M-Pesa. So solid growth there. Also increasing the number of use cases, bank overdrafts or overdraft being one of the new solutions that we just introduced. So a lot of success coming from that. Also, strong growth still in enterprise and also in fixed with fiber to the home as well. Pricing was a bit under pressure. Huge pricing transformation initiatives as well during the year, but all things considered, a very, very good result.
Shameel, I mean, over the last year, you spent an impressive 13 billion on capex. Was that in prep of 5G? And when 5G spectrum is allocated, will you see a big impact on capex? And then how long will 5G take to be rolled out once that spectrum is allocated?
Well, the money being spent is not actually in preparation of 5G. It's just keeping up with basically the demand for data currently, using 4G and also some of the modernization initiatives on 4G, which is things like MIMO and so on. So basically, a lot of money being spent on additional coverage in all the markets, but also just capacity, being able to cope with the 36% growth in traffic that we're seeing in South Africa. And again, the same in all our markets, we're seeing big growth in data traffic.
Well, speaking about data, Shameel, I mean, one of the stories we've been covering here on the channel in recent weeks is the high cost of data here in South Africa, one of the highest in the continent. I was thinking at the time, isn't it worth a big company like yours cutting your price of data? Apart from anything else, it would be a great PR exercise, but also you probably get a lot more customers if you could carry the cost of this. Would you ever consider this?
Well, Chris, we are doing that. In this last year, we basically reduced prices by 37%. And effectively, that's put 2 billion rand back into people's hands. And this coming year, we'll do something similar again. So prices are going down. I think it's misleading to say that the prices are the highest in Africa, because which price of a gig are we comparing? Are we comparing the price of a 1 month price where, we've been open to say we've still got a little bit more work to be done? Or are we comparing the fact that 80% of what we sell is actually hourlies, dailies, weeklies, and fortnightly bundles, which is significantly cheaper? So which price of a gig are we talking about? Is it the 35 Rand a gig for what? Or is it the 19 Rand that you can pay for the day, or is it the 12 Rand that you can pay for a gig for an hour? So I think it's important to draw the right comparisons in what is right for this market, or to use effective pricing. And that's not to say that we don't think the prices must come down more. We accept that prices need to come down more. And I think where we are is that we're asking for help. For prices to drop faster than it's been dropping. It's dropped 57% over the last 3 years, but for it to drop even faster, we do need access to spectrum. And we need to, because the spectrum will help us to drive down the cost to produce a meg or a gig of data. And that in turn helps us to then drop our prices to consumers.
Yeah, and so turning into mobile money, obviously M-Pesa is huge in the likes of Kenya and Tanzania. Do you ever see it being a significant part of the South African business?
Financial services in South Africa generated R1 billion profit, up 102% from last year. So, very meaningful contribution now to our business. Over 11 million customers now buying a financial service product from us in South Africa. So we managed to build a very nice business in a very short space of time. So we will be using elements of the M-Pesa or common type services, but it will be more of an OTT play, where M-Pesa is, in M-Pesa we have 350,000 outlets. So in South Africa, we'll be taking advantage of the smartphone effect and using that to basically introduce more services. As an example, we've just introduced our digital wallet. So you'll be able to make payments, electricity, water, airtime. All of these services will be bought through your app.
And just finally, Shameel, one of the thorny subjects for most people on these results things is cost cutting. Everyone's doing it right now. What are you planning to do this year?
I think when you're going through price transformation, I think one of the effects of that is that you've got to focus on cost. And so we're squeezing every bit out to try and give us a bit of room, right? Because we've just implemented the ICASA regulations, and we will have about a 2 billion rand impact to our numbers this coming year, coming from further price cuts, including the ICASA implementation. And that will then put pressure on the rest of the business. So that does mean that we have to be very prudent when it comes to cost. So we run programs which we call Fit for Growth, and we use tools like RPA and so on to help us to try and reduce costs. We obviously try and minimize job losses and those type of things by making sure that we redeploy and retrain people and reskill them and deploy them in various areas of the business.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. That was Vodacom CEO Shameel Joosub.